Among all warriors in the Valley of Peace, there is one who stands completely apart from the rest. His name is Po, the Dragon Warrior. And unlike every other Kung Fu master, Po's journey wasn't built on discipline, talent, or destiny alone. It was built on growth, struggle, and absurd potential. So, in this video, we'll be breaking down all of Po's forms, starting from his humble beginnings, and by the end of the video, we would cover his most godlike state. Po was born in a peaceful panda village, a place built on harmony, family, and tradition. His biological parents were ordinary pandas, living simple lives. However, that peace didn't last. Lord Shen, driven by fear of a prophecy that predicted his defeat, ordered the destruction of the panda village. In a single night, Po's entire world was erased. Homes were burned, families were torn apart, and an entire species was nearly wiped out. At this stage, Po was still a baby and really couldn't do anything. And because of that, Po was separated from his parents. As a defenseless infant, he was hidden in a box of radishes in a desperate attempt to save his life. His mother sacrificed herself to distract Shen's forces, ensuring Po's escape. This moment defined Po's life before he could even remember it. His survival came at the cost of everything. Fate intervened when Mr. Ping, a traveling noodle seller, discovered Po. And despite being a goose and having no connection to the panda massacre, Mr. Ping adopted Po as his son and raised him with unconditional love. To Po, Mr. Ping was never adoptive. He was simply his father. Now let's talk about his second form, the noodle shop Po. Po grew up in the Valley of Peace working in the noodle shop. His childhood was simple and far removed from kung fu training. While other warriors trained their bodies and minds, Po carried soup bowls and cleaned tables, often playing with the furious five figures and hoping he could learn kung fu one day. This version of Po wasn't really anything, as he had zero kung fu skills. However, his next form is where everything completely changes. Po, the Dragon Warrior. One day, Po was chosen as the Dragon Warrior. And let me tell you, it happened in the most flashy but yet unexpected ways ever. But from then on, the balance of power in the Valley of Peace quietly shifted. Even Master Oogway sensed something different about him. Not strength, but limitless potential. At this stage, Po was clumsy, slow, and completely unskilled. But what he lacked in technique, he made up for in durability, surviving impacts that should have shattered his bones. Even as a beginner, Po was already abnormal. And once training under Master Shifu, Po learned Kung Fu in a way no one else ever had. 'Cause yeah, traditional methods didn't work on him. So Shifu adapted and, funny enough, used food as motivation for his training. And at the end, I would say that Po mastered the basics of Kung Fu. This version of Po is still one of the weakest in this video, but even here he accomplished the impossible, defeating Tai Lung, a warrior who demolished the Furious Five effortlessly. This fight also proves something crucial. Po doesn't win by being stronger, he wins by being unbreakable. And yeah, that was very consistent when he faced all his opponents. Dragon Warrior Po, awakened form. After accepting himself, Po's power skyrockets. By Kung Fu Panda 2, Po can casually defeat elite wolf armies, and let me tell you, the increase in his skills are just insane. His speed increases, his reaction time sharpens, his strikes gain real force, and he is able to do things that, honestly, I don't think his body should let him do. He then knew about Lord Shen and how he was the reason for the death of his parents. Also, Shen wasn't just a random enemy. He had possession of a weapon, which was a threat to Kung Fu itself. So yeah, the fact that Po later put an end to this guy really shows how much he's gotten stronger. He countered Lord Shen's cannons with his bare hands. This form introduces Po's greatest weapon yet, inner peace. By achieving mental clarity, Po becomes immune to fear, manipulation, and emotional collapse. Attacks that once shook him now barely register. At this point, Po is no longer just a fighter. He's a force of balance. Now let's talk about Chi-awakened Po. By Kung Fu Panda 3, Po's growth reaches an entirely new level. This time, the threat isn't just physical, it's spiritual. Kai isn't a normal enemy. He's a warrior who steals the chi of Kung Fu masters, turning legends into puppets. Masters Po once looked up to were defeated effortlessly, and for the first time, even inner peace wasn't enough. Po discovers his true origin and returns to the panda village, where he learns the final missing piece of his power, chi. At first, Po can barely control it. Teaching others instead of fighting alone pushes him beyond anything he learned before. And when the final battle comes, Po does something no dragon warrior ever did. He gives up his own power. By sharing his chi, Po unlocks his ultimate form. His strength multiplies, and he turns into a literal dragon. His presence alone overwhelms Kai, and attacks that once dominated masters are erased instantly by Po. In this form, Po completely outclasses anyone in the series. I think that also includes Master Oogway, as later on he met the wise turtle and he gave Po his staff, which further increased his power. And surprisingly, this isn't even his most last form, as there's still one more to cover. Master Po, the living legend. At this point in his journey, Po has reached something far beyond raw power. He's calm, confident, and completely secure in who he is. But Po's greatest challenge in this era isn't learning how to fight, it's learning how to let go. As the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace, Po is tasked with doing the one thing he never thought he'd have to do: stop being the Dragon Warrior. He must find and train a successor, passing on a title that defined his entire life. And for Po, that's terrifying, because Kung Fu was never just something he did, it was who he was. And yeah, on the day of choosing a successor, Po actually chose himself, proving he wasn't ready yet. Po then meets Jen in the temple and captured her as an intruder, but then the word about the chameleon spreads, and Po intended to go stop her himself. But then Jen hinted that she knows a lot about this threat, so Po allowed Jen to accompany him on the mission. Now let's talk about the chameleon, a villain who is completely different from anything Po has ever faced, and was the most powerful as well. She can copy the abilities of every master Po has ever faced. Tai Lung, Shen, Kai, his entire past comes back to challenge him at once. She even managed to trick Po, captured him, and even took the staff Oogway gave to him. But yeah, Po being Po, still escaped. When the final battle comes, Po proves something incredible. As he simultaneously counters every kung fu master used to fight him, he was also able to fend off every major attack from the chameleon, and ultimately defeats her with the help of Zhen, that is. Click on this video next to enjoy more peak cartoon content.